it's live.
What's up, guys? Huh?
Talk to the people for a second.
I got a notice from PSENG that the pipes that lead to my house contain lead, so don't drink the water.
Is that
It's a true notice.
Is that true?
Legit.
They sent it like an email?
No, like a paper notice.
Oh.
Like, you know how they hang it on the
They hung it?
board? Yeah.
Yeah. All the pipes have water.
I've been drinking that water.
Do you need some bottled water?
Do you feel crazy?
When I run out of water, I'm just like, I have a choice.
What's happening, guys? My name is Michael Andreula. I've been doing this for 2 decades. Leo is a star trainer, and today we're going to go over pad training, some tips and tricks. Well, don't look not interested.
I just don't want to say that, sorry.
It's
the water lead.
It's the lead. Some tips on holding pads. Of course, it's also going to help you in regular striking situations, and most people want to know how to strike. Pad training has its own dynamic where the holder can do a lot for the striker and expedite the results, but when you're holding pads, it can end up abusing you. And Leo's been holding a lot of pads, so it's tight in his shoulders and neck. That's going to happen. So we're going to try a couple different things. Keep in mind, if you're doing this at home, all the disclaimers, you'll get in trouble, you can hurt yourself, blah, blah, blah. So that being said, first, make sure you're warmed up. We're not warmed up at all. No. So we're not going to go hard. But if you're at home, you can jump rope or just get your heart rate up so things aren't so tight. I'm going to start with no gloves or pads on so I can show you a couple things that I do when I'm reading the striker. So Leo likes to go in a righty stance, right?
Yeah.
Good. So the first thing I like to do is push the striker around in a confusing manner. That's going to help. The striker, if they feel like they have a solid target, are going to throw bombs at you, which you might, which is fine if you want to be a tough guy and take it like Leo does, but I don't want to do that at this point. So what I'm going to do is make sure his hands are up. I'm going to get in a mirrored image with Leo, unless if there's a situation of training them for a lefty. I'm going to put my left foot forward, right foot back, and I'm going to keep my elbows in the same way I do power push-ups or power bench press, or just want to keep my guard up. You're going to keep your arm settled in the same way and then stick your hands out like a praying mantis. You want to have a good base and you want to have an exit strategy. So when the punch comes, you can slide away and lead from pushes. Good thing about this, it makes your striking a lot better too. When the jab comes out, I'm going to feed it. Okay? It's like 2 rams smashing their heads. We need to be precise. When one ram is coming and the other ram comes and they hit and nothing happens to either of them, they redo it over and over. If one ram was tripping, the other ram would just smash it. So same thing with your catch. When the punch comes, we're going to be precise. We're going to keep it tight. Everything's tight in here. We're just warming up the jab. Nice and light and long. Good. Nice and light. Jab. That's it. Jab. Good. Jab. Nice. Jab. It's just some warm-up strikes. Loose, relaxed. You're talking to the striker. Breathing, relaxing. Cross. Step, twist, push off the back foot, long straight punch, good pop on it, hitting the leech knuckles, nice jab, beautiful cross, pop, jab, cross, extra long from your chin back to your chin, shaking it out systematically, jab, nice and long, good pop on it, jab, beautiful cross, excellent cross, nice and long, that's it, cross, get it out there, that's it, cross, get it out there, jab, nice and long. That's it, jab, nice and long. Beautiful jab. Beautiful jab. Jab. Excellent. Cross. Nice. Cross. Beautiful. Jab.
Check them out.
Relaxed. If I slip the pads on now. Big breath in, big breath out. Curved pads, any type of pads. Just remember, you got to keep your arm, your hands basically like this inside. If you're too flat, it's going to bend back your wrist. It won't feel good. And you want to have leverage on the punch. So when the punch comes out, jab, curve it down, dissipate the energy of the punch. Good. Cross, step, twist, push off the back foot. Cross. Good. Cross. Nice. Cross. Beautiful. Cross. Jab. We do a lot of things to help the striker long cross, which is nonverbal cues. If you want more pivot, you turn your head more. Right? Beautiful jab, long straight punch. Beautiful cross, long straight punch. Excellent cross. Big breath in, big breath out. Shake, 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 shake. Big breath in, jab. Nice, longer jab. That's it, jab. Excellent jab. Jab. Good cross step. Twist, push off the back foot. Beautiful. Now we have the jab crosses set up. We start working in some light hooks. I'm going to catch the hook, elbow tucked in. My arm is basically attached to the torso. If it's out, it's going to get jammed back in place. So when the hook comes out, that's it. That's the jab. Hook. Cross. That's cross. Hook. That's the cross. So it was the striker's fault, but that was correct. The target was there. I said cross, threw a hook, jab, hook, cross. That's it. A lot of people like to pre-map combinations and have the striker do it over and over. I like to give the striker no indication of what I'm going to do next so that they're good at improvising. Whatever happens, happens. Cross, hook, cross, hook. That's it. Jab, hook. Excellent. Hook. Beautiful. Leo's not doing it, but a lot of strikers, they come up short on the hook because their arm is tight or whatever, and they hit you here. So I usually tell strikers to aim at my wrist, and they hit perfectly right into the center line. Cross. Nice. Hook. Cross. Beautiful. Cross. That's it. Cross. Beautiful. Jab cross. Right hook. Cross. Left hook. Cross. Big breath in, big breath out. Constantly remember to, you got to work with that tension level. If they're starting to get tense, it's going to be a problem for striking. So we got to make sure they're loose, relaxed, fluid. Just getting good pops off. All right, take it. All right, let's go to uppercut. Uppercut again. It's just like the hook. I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to turn my own torso so I can catch it, but keep the arm attached to the body. Good. Left uppercut. Excellent. Cross. Right uppercut. Cross. Bam. Jab. Left hook. Good. Jab. Left hook. Cross. Beautiful. Jab. Hook. Cross. Loose. Relaxed. Having fun with the cross. Step, twist. Push off the back foot. Cross. Bam. Cross. Hook. Cross. Uppercut. Cross. Hook. Cross. Uppercut. Jab, jab your way out. Jab, jab. Pop. Pop. Jab. That's it. Jab. Hook. Cross. Right uppercut. Hook. Beautiful. Moving along. Pads. Let's see. Let's go with these. With pads, I only like to do the bottom strap. I do it pretty loose because I like to swing it. So if I take a punch there and then I can swing it into a hook position, press it into my arm, give myself a little more stability. I don't think it matters if it's right or left, you know, opposites. Make sure. So basically be able to do that. Good. So grab a top grip, keep your thumb out of that loop there, put it on top. Breathe, relax, don't over tense when you're holding. Loose, relax, and we're just going to warm up. Jab. Go right back to punches cross. Excellent. Right uppercut. Hook. Beautiful. Jab. Pop. Jab. Pop. Hook. Cross. Beautiful. Cross hook. Excellent. Cross hook. Nice. Cross hook. And you can see Leo finishes that cross well, which is letting that hook come out so nice and powerfully. The cross is extended. It's got a really nice rotation on the hook. Jab. Hook. Cross. Loose, relax, big breath in, big breath out. I'm going to start working some kicks into it. This is the thing with kicks. There's a lot of different ways to take the roundhouse kick. You can take like this, you can take like this. I also like to innovate and go one arm at a time. As long as I have a solid target for their limb to hit, I don't have to be in the exact position. If I just stand there and take kicks, I'm gonna get blasted, I'm gonna get knocked back. It's gonna be uncomfortable. So when the kick comes out, we'll just do a couple test ones. So right leg roundhouse down. Too tight? Just nice and light. That's it. Left leg roundhouse, just warm up. Left roundhouse. Right leg roundhouse. That's it. Fade out, right leg roundhouse. As the kick comes, I'm leaning out so I don't have to take it off. Let's try it. Right leg roundhouse. Right roundhouse. That's it. Cross. Right roundhouse. Jab. Left roundhouse. Cross. Big breath in. Loose, relax. Jab. Sting it. Left hook. Right cross. Right leg roundhouse. Nice. Loose. Relax. Bodies loose. Relax. Jab. 10. Left hook. Cross. Right leg roundhouse. Cross. Nice. Jab. Big breath in. Loose. Relax. Jab. Left hook. Cross. Go get it. Beautiful. Cross. Go get it. And nice. Jab. Left roundhouse. Cross. Right leg roundhouse. Loose. Relax. Having fun. Big breath in. Big breath out. Jab. Uppercut. Cross. Big breath in. Loose. And relax. Jab. Left hook. Cross. Beautiful. Now, there's a lot of other things you can catch with this. So we're gonna maybe work in some light knees. Do you have anything in your pocket right now? It's okay if you want to keep going.
It's good, it's good. It's just with context.
All right, right knee. You're gonna break them on this? Good. Cross. Right knee. I like going single hand. When I go double hand, it's okay, but I don't feel like it's that good. I like right knee. I like left knee. I feel like I can get my body out of the way. Right knee. Cross. Left knee. Always do the one you're not thinking about. So just be in a neutral mind position. Get your hands up. Jab. Left hook. Right knee. Left roundhouse. Breathe. Cross. Shake, 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 shake. Relax. Loose.
Will there always be Jumanji sound effects?
Always. 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 Jab. It's gonna be constant problems and then you can just let it go. Noise, heat, lead in the water, just don't worry about it. Just right knee. Right roundhouse. Cross. Big breath in, nice and loose, relaxed. Big breath in, jab. Left hook. Jab, left hook. Nice. Jab, left hook, cross. Nice. Jab, left hook, cross. Right leg roundhouse. Boop. Cross. Right knee. Cross. Hook. Ooh, that almost knocked my shoulder out. Sorry. That's what I get for doing fancy.
Question, when people want to switch, do we allow them to switch or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Thing with switches, and it's a great question, because people are doing the combinations on the bag and they're like, well, if I'm staying in my righty stance, I'm gonna have a gigantic right arm and a little tiny left arm, right? Because they're not switching. Because from bodybuilding, you do everything symmetrically. You do 5 on this, you do 5 on this side. But when you're striking, you're got one stance forward. So you're like, well, can't be right, because I'm gonna be completely uneven. Then I usually say, well, how often do you switch brushing your teeth? You know, how often do you switch combing your hair? You barely use your non-dominant hand. Your left arm should be like this, and your right arm should be like this. That being said, there's some people that switching is really good for them, because when you switch, you see your tendencies on the opposite side, and you know that that's an exaggerated form or version of what you're doing on your dominant side. So if you're making a mistake with your jab, sometimes it becomes more apparent. Problem is when people get sloppy and they're switching so much that they're never settling into strikes. And I really want them to settle down into strikes, deep settle. But if it's part of your style to switch, and just because Leo, if you don't know, likes to do a lot of capoeira type movements, off the wall type things. Is that somebody upstairs having a good time? All right, so Leo likes to switch and do all types of, open rule system. And you see all different people, from striking styles. You look at Anthony Pettis, Michael Vernon Page. These strikers are all over the place. They're not following any rules, and that's why they're doing well. But some people, they're not really good with one side, so I hate switching them back and forth because they don't really have one side down. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you want them to master, at least try to master one side.
One theory is master one side, then the other side will be easier. The other theory is do half on one side, half on the other side, and then they'll know both at the same. What will carry and get them to the quickest result, I think, will be depending on the individual. If they're having a lot of trouble, though, I rarely switch sides. Too confusing for them. Right. As far as the pad training, when they're just doing cardio and they don't really care, then go for it.
Does the stance like a pad holder change too with it?
I would say for beginner strikers, I'm accommodating them to make it as comfortable as possible. So if they're standing with their left foot forward, I'm standing with my left foot forward. If you've been doing it for a long time and I just want to give you a completely different feel, then I might stand with my right foot forward to mess with you, just because. Or if they're a lefty, I'll stand with my right foot forward. They stand with their right foot forward. So if you're a lefty, yeah, that's it.
Both lefty?
Yeah, so I would just do this, just to make it easier for you to mirror. Because what we're doing, we're mirroring images of each other. When you throw your jab, I'm throwing my jab, basically. When you throw your cross, I'm throwing my cross. When you throw your hook, I'm throwing my hook. Uppercut's a little bit different, but we're trying to merge. So, the thing is, I wish there was a way, and karate, there's like, this is the way. Don't depart from the way, but you end up getting in all these individual situations. You realize that everybody's born with different talents, and I say it all the time, if there's John Jones on this side, there's going to be somebody on the opposite spectrum of John Jones. So John Jones can almost do any technique instantly, and then there's going to be somebody that can't do any technique for a long time. So depends on who you're working with, would be my answer. But their body's not going to be disproportionate by not switching. Most boxers never switch their whole life. They look completely symmetrical.
Sure.
So that would be my long and short answer of it. It's a good question though, because a lot of people are coming up to that thinking, well, this doesn't make sense, or it does make sense. So left foot forward, right foot back, loose, relaxed. Let's try it. What about a right elbow? That's it. Left elbow. Good. And one thing when you throw that elbow, that everybody, especially in classes, doing a lot of classes, when we call out elbows, you get some problems. People have problems with elbows. So just if I could, and Leo's already naturally doing it, but I like to rotate the thumb down quickly because you don't have a lot of room, so you need torque. So you're gonna rotate your thumb down, and then your elbow, your shoulder, and your wrist are basically in the same plane underneath the shoulder. If it's up higher, it'll be problematic on your shoulder. Anytime your arm's above your shoulder, you're not in a good position. You can be, even if you're gigantic, you could be held with a couple fingers with your arm over your head. But if your arm is down here, you have a lot of power. So when you throw the elbow, just make it where you're swiping in, so you have this curling in rotation, and at the same time, you're trying to crack the coconut. Ever crack the coconut, Leo? Okay. When you're cracking a coconut, if you just bludgeon it, it might not break. But if you give it put some English on it, and you kind of chop back, for some reason, it'll split it. Like if you go, like you're pulling back on it. I don't know what the term would be. It works a lot better than just smashing bludgeoning. This is really true on banana trees. If you try to hit a banana tree and you try to smash it, nothing really will happen. But if you hit it with a cutting shot, it'll cut it. It's like a piece of celery, a giant piece of celery. You know, you snap the celery,
Right.
same thing with that. It's like each strike could be a push, could be a slashing version of it, a bludgeoning version. So with the elbow, it's really good to be sharp with the technique. Thumb rotates down, elbow rotates out. A lot of techniques could be done like that. You can also throw the elbow, almost in any position. They could be like this, like a hook, be like an uppercut, like an overhand right. You can throw the elbow. Just look at it as another limb, just like the knee. You can throw the knee like a front kick, or you can throw the knee like a roundhouse kick. Come in from the side and give it a tap that way, or you throw it like it's a stunted front kick. Because your body can only move in so many ways. You can twist it, you can push, you can pull.
Did Jean-Claude Van Damme break the banana tree in that one scene?
No, he was hitting a palm tree.
And is that like a possible thing?
If you're a lunatic, I mean, if you're out of your mind and somehow you have an American brother that got put in a wheelchair by some guy, how that happened, I don't know, but he was hitting that palm tree. And you're like, well, that's good, Mike, that'll make my shin stuff. It would if you did a little bit every day for like 15 years. Like, in my basement, we have a Macalora pad.
What's that?
It's basically a potato sack wrapped around like a piece of wool, wrapped around a piece of wood. And if you see like the old school Japanese, they punch it to toughen up their knuckles. So you just like this the first day. Then, every day you just go a little bit further and further until you can do full-fledged punches to toughen up the skin. But if you just came in and smashed it, it would cut your hands up, and then you would be out for a couple weeks. So it doesn't make sense if you have a kickboxing competition in a week and you're just bludgeoning your shin up on a palm tree.
Well, Michael, how come Jean-Claude Van Damme did it again that one day?
Yeah, this is the thing. Movies are great, but you don't want to dictate your life based on them because they're mainly bullshit. If you want to be honest, the montages are fake. You look at the Rocky montages.
Yeah.
When he trains with Apollo Creed's like, oh, I'm going to show you how to do it, the slick style, right? And then you watch the later match, he's just disabandons that whole thing, goes back to, so all that training was worthless. He's on steroids, it's ridiculous. You don't train like that. It's good, it's like, so if you're training you're not training for a particular competition, so you don't want to peak so much every day. There's no way to maintain that peak. So you're just consistent, you'll have highs and lows in your training, but it's not like I'm gonna put myself into the hospital with training, because if you're getting ready for a particular technique, you can game plan it in. But for day in and day out training like we're doing, you're trying to maybe take away some peaks and just have a more up and down, smooth, not breaking yourself down. That's probably the biggest goal, because a lot of technique, you need time. Your body, you do the technique, you go home, you think about it, right? You see videos, you see yourself doing it, and then your technique is better the next class, right? Your muscles and mind and body need time to reorganize the technique. Does this make sense?
No, yeah. It's just, whenever you gotta slow it down, right?
Yes. It takes time, like Christy was saying, beginners, they'll do this thing before they punch, and why don't you just eliminate that? And it's like, I'm not trying not to eliminate it, but the question is, why can't you just make a beginner an expert level? Because they need time hitting things. That's why I'm not so, the Japanese style, it's like, do the first punch and last punch absolutely perfect. That's good when you're training an army of pretty athletic samurais in pre-World War I Japan, pre-World War II Japan. Like, yes, you can train them, and they're spending 8 hours a day training. When you're starting out, you need to make a lot of mistakes. Small mistakes that are manageable, because if you take an injury, you'll be out for a while. If you're out for a while, you'll be home watching Hoarders, eating cheesecake and getting fat. So we can't afford for you to get injured. It's too devastating. It'll throw the whole timeline off.
Tom Cruise was a samurai.
Tom Cruise was the last samurai. Paul Mooney's got a great joke, but I won't repeat it right now.
Another time.
Another time, another time. All right, so we're back at it. You have the pads, tie pads, most versatile pads. Loose, relax, always test. This is a good test because sometimes you hit the striker's hand and hit themselves in the head. But Leo's got a guard. He understands something, the force is coming in. He doesn't need to get it where I'm knocking. He's putting his hand out of position and overreacting. He's reacting appropriate to stop the force. Cross. That's probably the best defense. You just want the hand to just block it. Just get it out of the way. Cross. In boxing, they're getting a lot more particular. They're sitting in. You know, I was watching a Triple G fight, and Triple G, who just knocked out Rolling, and Rolling was doing fantastic. He's standing right in front of him like this with his gloves, and there's nothing to hit. You know, you're either hitting his elbows, you're trying to hit here, and Triple G is just doing things to try to open him up because you can't kick. And I got big gloves, and I'm just like putting my hands here, and there's nothing you could do. So boxing is obviously a lot different. There's no openings, but with kicks, you got problems. Right? And with MMA, you got a completely different situation, and that's why you see so many techniques that people label as wild or not correct, but it depends on the situation. Hands up, YouTube, any video, all your hands drop down your hand. Watch him fight, watch in slow motion, watch it in the UFC. You're gonna see hands down all over the place. Hands are all over the place. Like, have these people trained? Have you ever trained? Well, if I gotta catch a shot, I gotta catch a kick, I gotta mislead you on what I'm gonna do, my hands might be all over the place. If I want you to throw a punch, I might drop my hands down. Different styles are all over the place. That's what I'm pointing out. There's a lot of nerds on YouTube that are like, oh, well, your hands drop down, oh, my, report you to the authorities. Keep in mind, you want your hands up, but some people are just fast. They can get away with things all day long. You do want your hands relatively out there. You want them usable. If your hands are just predictably up here, you're gonna get hit with every shot in the book. You just have your hands up, you're like, oh, well, I got my hands up. This was step 1 on Wikipedia's how to kickbox. You're gonna get taken apart because your hands are so predictable. So your hands can't be that predictable. So even if you're throwing kicks, your hands are telling a story that you're not gonna be kicking, right? Your hands are somewhat out in front of you. Cross. Nice. Jab. Cross. Beautiful. Jab. I like this one a lot. This is a fun one. Adam likes this one too. You go, you're gonna catch and throw at the same time. Anderson Silva. So I'm gonna throw my jab, but you're gonna jab here.
I'm gonna jab over there?
Yes, so it's gonna go pop. So I throw. That's it. Don't anticipate it. Pop. That's it. That's it. I'm gonna catch you, so make sure you block. Cross. Cross. Nice. Cross. It's another fun one. Jab. I leave it out there, and then you throw the uppercut behind. That's
that?
Jab. Nice. Jab. That's it. Jab. Jab. Nice. Jab. Jab. Hook. Cross. That's one of my favorites. Okay, so. Shit. Beautiful. The mind is thinking. When you think, you can't throw strikes. So I operate on the principle that I want it to be autopilot. The best thing is like you're throwing combinations and you're like thinking about the lead in your water system or something like that. You're not even focusing on throwing, but everything's happening. Beautiful. Second nature. Also, you gotta enjoy it, right? If you're like, this is work, this is a workout, I'm working out, oh no. What?
No, so I say hi, no.
Oh, you could say hi if you want. Oh no, if, you can't think about it like that. You get to do this, you like hitting things, it's fun for you. You like to smash things, I've already judged you. This is your fun time. That's how you have to think about striking. You'll be like a pit bull. My dog loves to fight, right? Not literally, I'm not fighting him, but he likes to do it. Leo watches him, sometimes he knows. He likes to attack things. A squirrel comes by, he likes it.
He ripped through a tennis ball like this.
Yeah.
I can't snap it.
If he would kill 1,000,000 squirrels with a smile on his face. It's like, oh, this is so good. I love it. That's how you have to be when you're working out. Otherwise, you're like, oh no, making nose noises. I don't like that.
I don't know.
It's hard to get tired when you got a smile on your face, and it breaks people down. Cross, uppercut, cross, right knee, right roundhouse, cross. That's it, right roundhouse. That was me, right knee, right roundhouse. Good, cross, jab, left knee, roundhouse. Beautiful. Another option you have, but of course, when you're holding pads, either you got to be dumb or you got to be tough. That's your option. Okay. When you hold pads, your options. You could be dumb or you could be tough. To hold a front kick with a tie pad. So I've seen it. This way is much easier if you're just kicking through. So you do a front kick, work really well with a push kick, you know, or snaps. So push up, nice. We don't practice snap kicks as much. You know snap kicks because you don't see it because it's pretty much illegal to kick people in the groin.
Oh,
But you might want to do that in a street. You can't do it on the back, but it's a really good practice maybe if you're doing it for self-defense. Those snap kicks, right? That's gonna be good. If you can hit somebody in the face, would be even better. But obviously the groin would be fantastic there. But you can throw your front kick here, up, throw the other front kick here, up, or you can do this. You can be dumb and tough. Take your pad, put it on your hip here. Take the other one and cover it up like a shield, like the Romans, the soldiers, you ever see them? They line up, and then the other soldiers behind them put their shield like this for the arrows.
all right, like cover.
Yeah, so they innovated that technique. That's basically what you're doing here. So put it into the hip, take the other arm, and then push down right here, like you're a Street Fighter. You're gonna do some type of, you know, the video game, and then boom, your front kick. Good.
So, as a striker, should I go on my back or front foot?
Good point. Depends on what you want out of it. Lead sides are always speed, and the rear sides are always power. So there's some people that throw a lead side really hard, and you're already there. You're so close. But if you want to throw the power, you usually throw it off the backside. And the side kick to the lead is good, and you ever like see the side kick to the lead knee?
No.
They'll go lead side kick to here. That one's work because you're gonna bust the knee back. Right, or the lead side kick in general is a very powerful kick. So I would do more lead. And front kicks, I use it more like a jab. You're just keeping a range, keep range, or you're doing kicks to the groin. Right. That's my, I don't know what you're doing. Low kicks with the tie pads. Only thing you gotta watch out for, because there's a lot of ways to hold it and none of them are good, to be honest with you. If you hold it this way, make sure that your knuckles aren't on your own IT bag because it's going to be painful. So you take your knuckles and you stick them behind your hamstring. You keep a bend in the elbow because it could get bad if your arm's straightened out. And just kind of squat into it a little bit. Right leg like this. Just lean into it. I just put my butt to right leg like this. Good. Left like this. That's it. That's a good way to slow the striker down so you don't get beat up too hard. Check their hands at the same time. also seeing this way, where you're going here, here.
And that's all for the roundhouse?
Yeah. You know, pressure in my own wrist. Pressure the wrist. That's it. Pressure my own wrist. Pressure my own wrist. And if you're an absolute lunatic, like Alex, you go to the knees and you just pray. Please don't miss.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell the people, do not change your height.
Yeah, but they can't. Some people, you'll notice they're naturally good at high kicks.
Right.
You go like this, it sails right over and hits you in the head. So you gotta be ready for it. Some people are great low kickers, but they're terrible high kickers. And then there's the ones where they're in that middle, and you're here, and they just slip and hit you. Because I want them to be good at the quad, I want them to be good right here, and I want them to go over the head with the pivot. To put the whip on it. But you never know. You're dealing with people that are a little wild.
But like you said, people you think you can't trust, you don't do kicks with them, right?
No, not yet.
Especially with talking.
Yes. See, they don't understand, but like Leo will have a class, there's 80 people in class, and Leo's just walking up to random people and putting his pads up, right? You don't know what they're gonna do, right? They're nice, nice and quiet. You put your pads up, they're trying to take your head off. So you don't know what's gonna happen. Calling out kicks, you gotta be ready for anything. I would only do kicks with random people with a kick shield. We used to have one back a long time ago. I called it Big Bertha. It was this plus about twice, maybe 3 times as much pad.
Wow.
And the thing about pads is they're just made, there's no real science. They make these in Pakistan and some parts of China. They don't even know what they're making, to be honest with you. Like pad, all right, it's like a seat cushion. So I think that was a seat cushion with handles. It's like a lazy boy with handles. When you got this though, you got a lot of cover. You can cover for kicks, and a famous drill I would do, I would have just anybody, the toughest 10 people, just line them all up like this, and I would just hold Big Bertha like this and let them throw each one at a time. They could throw any kick they wanted. I would just hide behind it, and just boom, 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 take it. Especially with small groups, this is really good. This one's getting a little worn down with the strap, but if you're holding for a lot of people or you're holding for roundhouse kicks, get a good figure 4. It's the same as a rear naked choke. You know, the thumb's over, and this is what's just gonna keep it from bouncing into my own head. Blocking my elbows down, and it's part of my body. So I can take a roundhouse here. I can take a roundhouse on this side. I can even take a front kick or one. I can take a side kick. Good. And you can have multiple people. You can have one person do a roundhouse, one person do a front kick, one person do a roundhouse, 10 reps, and you can go if you want to with this kick shield. If you're just gonna do front kicks or side kicks or something like that, then I would either hold it like this or hold it like you're hugging it like this, because space is what gets you. Keep in mind, you're not gonna put it on your belly. When it hits you, it feels like it's got a spiral like a bullet, and it'll hurt you through the pad. So instead of putting it on my body flat, I'm gonna put it on an angle right here. Same way you would take it if you're lining up for a strike. So for the front kick,
Nice, it's inside.
of course, I still gotta feed it.
All front kicks?
Hands up. Good. If you want to reduce the power, you tell them to keep the hands up, especially at the right time. That'll take the power out. Good.
What about like Muay Thai trainers? I see that, because they're usually like this, right? Or is it like a top and front at the top?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, everything is evolved into its own style, too. Keep this in mind, because you take a karate practitioner and a Muay Thai high level, they're going to argue about everything. Like, this is you're wrong, you're wrong. Well, it depends on the rules. If I'm in a karate competition, I can't punch to the head. Why keep my hands up? So they don't put their hands down. And in Taekwondo, they're like, oh, we can't punch to the head anyway. They're just doing this, right? Because they're like, let's go side kicks and turn kicks. And in Muay Thai, you're more here. You know, you can use your elbows, you can use knees, so you're a lot more bouncy. Your hands up nice and tall. So that's really good for that particular thing. Keep in mind, a lot of the tradition there is first 3 rounds, you're still be able to put in bets. So they're going easy in the first 3 rounds and making it, you know, because it's not just a sport there, it's also like entertainment at bars, and you know what I mean? So you want to gamble.
I did not know that.
Watch. Yeah, of course you want to gamble.
I thought it was just like, whoever wins,
That's
wins.
why you see they do it in, I think Kickboxer, the movie with Van Damme mentioned. They're putting in all those bets, and you can do it up to like the 3rd round. That's why it's really, they hate it when like an American comes in and starts fighting real hard in the 1st round. Because you're supposed to go and make it a little bit of a show, it's a little back and forth, because I'm trying to put some cash down here. I'm trying to, you know, buy 2 mopeds when I get home. It's a lot of tradition. So, and then you'll see people that get to the highest level of Taekwondo, you're like, well, that's garbage. But then you see, like, maybe they're karate, I'm not sure, but some of the sideways standers, like, the guys, I forget his name, the Wonder Boy Thompson. You know who that is? Okay, he trains out of like, some North Carolina, South Carolina, I think Greenville. And he's at the highest level, he's fought for the title. Been really close, you know, could have went either way with Tyrone Woodley, and he's like this the whole time, like this. Tyrone Woodley's coming from a wrestling background, and he just, it's like this, and he throws explosive punches or takes you down. He looks like a black version of me. He's got huge legs, big butt, but Wonder Boy Thompson's style is great because nobody's used to it. Everybody's training in Muay Thai, and now because he's so off, he's confusing them. Terrible example now because he just got knocked out by a Muay Thai practitioner from Michael Vernon Page in Bellator. He moves around, he moves like he's dancing out there. He's just so loose, he's in and out, and he gets you to make a mistake, and then he capitalizes. So those are 2 sideways standers that have mastered those. I'll bring this in the future, guys, as a prediction. You're going to have to be good at Muay Thai and Taekwondo. And Conor McGregor is a great example of this. If his opponent is here, he's standing relatively like maybe Muay Thai type stance, a little bit different, maybe hand position. As you rotate around this way to eliminate my right hand, right, and you keep rotating, you stop right about there, but you're a little bit further back. Instead of him refacing you and going back to the stance, you rotate, instead of doing that, he just turns into a sideways stance and throws either a side kick or he does his turn kick. That's what he was doing. So somebody's forward, he's boxing or Thai boxing. You go this way instead of changing stance because it was a completely different look for them. Because they're used to, okay, then they're gonna reface me. He lets you roll there and he either throws a side kick or his turn kick. If you went the other way, he would throw the roundhouse kick. And in the future, people are gonna do this because you gotta keep evolving. They get missiles, okay, we get missiles. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully this was informative. It's padding, it's chatting, it's covering a lot of topics.
Patting and chatting.
Padding and chatting, and we'll pick it up. I don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but maybe we'll pick it up tomorrow, different location, maybe different, we'll do some ways to fix the neck and shoulders and tension. Until next time, guys, get out there, just mess around, shadow box, have fun, smile a lot, drink unleaded water, right now.
They fixed the pipes already.
So they fix the pipes.
Allegedly.